They say the moon does not grant love, it tests it. Long before kingdoms bore crowns of silver or wolves bowed beneath banners, there was only the moon and her chosen. From her tears she forged the first alphas, guardians of balance, born to keep light and shadow in harmony. But when pride poisoned their hearts, they turned Fong against Fong, and the moon wept anew. Her sorrow became a curse. No alpha shall love without ruin, no heart shall bind without blood. So it was that the Moonfire, once a gift of creation, became a chain. It burned brightest in those fated to defy it. 1,000 years passed. The Moon Kingdom fell into silence, its shrines turned to ash, its rulers to ghosts in their own halls. The goddess's voice faded, her blessing twisted by those who sought power instead of peace. And in the midst of ruin, legends began to whisper of one who would bear the curse anew, not a king nor a warrior but a beggar marked by mercy. He would carry the moon's light not in armor but in his heart. And beside him would walk a healer whose touch could tame the storm. Together they would break the law of gods and the pride of kings, and with a single kiss awaken the world. Now, under a blood-red moon, the goddess stirs once more. Her eyes open over a kingdom on the edge of its final dusk. And somewhere beneath the ruins of Eldermoor, destiny draws its breath. Chapter 1: The Beggar at the Mating Circle. The air shimmered with heat and howls. Every unmated she-wolf stood in a circle of light, wrapped in silk and fear. Lyra's gown clung to her like a promise she never made, gold thread glinting against her skin. Around her wolves shifted restlessly, hunger thick in the air, an ancient ritual about to begin. Soon after the crowd hushed. A horn sounded deep and primal. The mating ceremony had begun. Lyra forced a smile she didn't feel. "Just breathe," she whispered to herself, her voice trembling against the night. But the truth was, her heart didn't belong to this fate. She'd seen what being claimed did to women. They lost their freedom, their fire, their names. Because in Moonclaw a mate bond wasn't just love, it was a leash. At the edge of the clearing, cloaked in shadow, a beggar watched. His hood hid most of his face, but the faint gleam of his eyes caught the moonlight, predatory, assessing. His scent, smoke and rain, didn't belong to this place. Lyra didn't see him yet. Not until her wolf stirred. As though fate whispered. Her gaze flicked up, and locked with his. For a heartbeat time stood still. He was ragged, filthy, his boots caked in mud, but there was something in the way he stared, a quiet power old as the moon. Her chest ached. Her pulse stumbled. Before she could move, the High Alpha's voice shattered the silence. "Step forward, daughters of the moon. Let your wolves choose." What followed was chaos wrapped in beauty. One by one, women were claimed, pulled into the arms of waiting males, marked by teeth and fire. Lyra stood frozen. She could feel eyes crawling over her, hungry, entitled. And just like that, panic clawed its way up her throat. "No," she whispered. "Not him." The suitor approaching wore the crest of House Varen, the same man who'd once cornered her in the dark and told her he'd break her spirit. His grin widened. Lyra's wolf recoiled. To make things worse, the elders began chanting her name. "Lyra. Step forward." Every instinct screamed run. Instead she moved toward the fire. The world narrowed. Her heart pounded so hard she could barely hear the music anymore. She didn't know what scared her more, the claiming or the silence that would follow if she refused. Then as the crowd pressed in she saw him again, the beggar. Standing apart. So, watching her with those storm-gray eyes. Maybe it was madness. Or maybe it was fate. Before she could think, her feet carried her to him. Gasps erupted around the circle. "What is she doing?" someone hissed. "She's choosing a beggar?" Her hands trembled as she reached for his hood. Beneath it, dark hair, sharp jaw, a scar running from temple to chin. And eyes that burned with secrets. In that moment the air thickened. Her voice trembled. "If I must choose, I choose him." A growl tore through the crowd. The High Alpha rose from his throne of stone, fury bleeding into his voice. "Do you mock the ceremony?" But Lyra didn't flinch. She turned to the beggar, lifted her chin, and kissed him. Her world tilted. It was supposed to be an act of defiance. Just a kiss to stop another man from claiming her. But the moment their lips met, something ancient snapped awake inside her. The bond pulsed. Her wolf roared to life, heat, light, and shock exploding through her veins. The scent of him, wild pine and danger, filled her lungs. The beggar froze, then kissed her back. And just like that, everything changed. When their lips parted, the silence roared. His voice was low, dangerous. "You shouldn't have done that." Lyra's breath caught. "You shouldn't have looked at me like that." Between them, something cracked. The air shimmered with energy she couldn't name. "Who are you?" she whispered. He smiled, but it wasn't kind. "Someone you'll regret saving." Her heart skipped. Before she could speak, the High Alpha's guards stormed forward. "Seize them." The beggar didn't move. His aura shifted, commanding, electric. Then, beneath the moonlight, his eyes changed. Silver burned to gold. Gasps echoed. Someone fell to their knees. By the moon, one elder breathed. "That's not a beggar." Lyra's pulse thundered in her ears. Her wolf stirred again. Her mate. And the beggar, no, the man, tilted his head, voice a low growl. "Bow to your king." Chapter 2, The King Behind the Hood. The firelight flickered across his face, and for the first time Lyra saw him, not as a beggar but as something far more dangerous. The crowd knelt instinctively. Every wolf felt it, the weight of his presence, the command in his stance, the quiet power that could bend the moon itself. Still Lyra stood frozen. Her voice trembled. "You're—" He cut her off. "Not here." Guards surrounded them, weapons drawn, but none dared move first. The High Alpha's voice thundered again, shaking the ground. "This is treason." The ceremony was sacred. The man, no, the Alpha King, lifted his gaze. "You dare call my law treason?" The High Alpha faltered. For a moment, fear flashed in his eyes. Because of that, the truth rippled through the crowd like lightning. The king had returned. Soon after, chaos erupted. Elders shouted, wolves growled, and the air burned with confusion. Lyra's thoughts spun, trying to make sense of it all. How could the Alpha King be alive? The stories said he'd been slain 5 winters ago by his own brother. She turned to him. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" He met her eyes, unflinching. "Because dead kings see more clearly than living ones." "What does that even mean?" she whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he caught her wrist, warm skin against hers. "If you want to live, follow me." Her world tilted again. Before she could argue, he moved, a blur of speed and strength, cutting through the chaos. Lyra stumbled after him as the crowd split like water before a storm. The world outside the circle was darker, colder. The drums had stopped, replaced by the sound of pursuit. Behind them, the High Alpha roared, "Find them!" They ran until the firelight faded. Moonlight painted the forest silver. Lyra finally tore her wrist free. "Stop." He turned, breath even, eyes glowing faintly. "You shouldn't have chosen me." Her chest ached. "You think I meant to?" For the first time, a flicker of emotion crossed his face, something raw, unreadable. "Then why did you?" She didn't know. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe madness. Maybe fate. The silence stretched between them. Then his hand lifted, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "The bond is sealed now," he murmured. "You feel it too." The air thickened. Lyra's pulse raced. The bond, alive, pulsing between them, made it hard to breathe. She wanted to deny it, to pull away, but her wolf pressed forward, recognizing him, craving him. Her voice broke. "I don't even know your name." He hesitated. "Kale." The name hit her like thunder. Kale, the lost Alpha King of Moonclaw. The one whose bloodline vanished after the war. She stepped back. "You're supposed to be dead." "I was," he said quietly. "Until you kissed me." Her breath caught. At the same time, back at the palace, torches flared in the great hall. The High Alpha stood before the council, fury twisting his face. She ruined the right. And he, whoever he is, mocked the laws of the moon. An elder spoke softly. If that was truly Kale, then the moon herself chose his return. The High Alpha slammed his fist against the table. Then the moon has betrayed us. And just like that, the seeds of rebellion were sown. Meanwhile, in the forest, Lyra followed Kale to an ancient ruin, a temple half swallowed by ivy and thyme. She hesitated. You live here? He almost smiled. A king's crown isn't always made of gold. Inside, candlelight flickered against stone walls etched with runes. The scent of herbs, rain, and wolf lingered in the air. Lyra's eyes drifted to the carvings, wolves bowing before a queen crowned in flame. What is this place? She whispered. Kale's tone darkened. The last remnant of the true order. Before the council twisted the laws, this was where the bond was born. She traced the markings with her fingertips. And now, he said, stepping closer, it's a grave. Her heart skipped. Because of that, she saw the pain in his eyes, the weight of exile, betrayal, and loss. What happened to you? She asked softly. He hesitated, then spoke. My brother took everything. My throne. My pack. My name. The night he killed me, I swore I'd never return. Her breath trembled. Then why come back now? Kale's gaze locked on hers. Because the prophecy said my mate would awaken the crown. Silence. Her world tilted again. What prophecy? He stepped closer, his scent wrapping around her like smoke. That the Alpha King would rise only when kissed by the one who defied the moon. Her chest ached. That's me. Yes, he whispered. And now, every wolf in Moonclaw will hunt us both. The air burned between them. She didn't know what scared her more, his words or the way her wolf leaned closer instead of running. Kale's voice dropped, softer now. You can still go back. Deny the bond. Pretend none of this happened. Lyra shook her head. No matter how hard I try, I can't. He studied her for a long moment. Then, without warning, he touched her mark. Heat flared beneath her skin. Her breath caught. The bond pulsed, alive, defiant. And just like that, something ancient stirred inside them both. Chapter 3, Blood Moon Hunt. The wind carried their scent. Kale froze mid-step, head tilting, nostrils flaring. They found us. Lyra's pulse spiked. Who? Bloodfang's scouts. His voice was low, sharp as a blade drawn in moonlight. We need to move. Now. Before she could speak, he caught her hand, pulling her into the dense silverwood. The forest swallowed them whole. Branches whipped at her arms as they ran, roots snagging at her feet, but Kale moved with impossible grace, silent, certain, wild. Lyra tried to keep pace, her breath coming fast. Still she could feel it. The bond pulsing between them like a second heartbeat. Kale, she gasped. They're close. I know. His hand tightened around hers. Don't stop. Moments later, a howl split the night. Oh, fierce. Too close. The forest came alive with answering cries. Shadows darted between the trees, eyes glowing crimson in the dark. Lyra stumbled. They're surrounding us. Kale spun, drawing a dagger from his belt. Stay behind me. She pressed her back to his, heart pounding. I'm not helpless, you know. He glanced over his shoulder, a ghost of a smile. You kissed a king. That's dangerous enough. Before she could retort, the first wolf lunged from the shadows, fangs bared, claws slashing. Kale met it midair, steel flashing. The impact sent sparks through the night. Lyra ducked as another came for her, the sound of snarls and steel colliding echoing through the trees. Without thinking, she grabbed a fallen branch, swung, caught the creature across the muzzle. It yelped and stumbled back, giving her a heartbeat to breathe. Her chest ached, lungs burning. As the silence roared, Kale's growl broke through. Lyra, move. She turned just as another wolf barreled toward her, larger, faster. In the span of a breath, Kale was there, shielding her. His dagger sank deep, silver slicing through fur and flesh. The wolf collapsed, and for a moment, only the sound of her pulse filled the night. Then the air shifted. She smelled it, blood, smoke, moonlight, and something else. Power. It thrummed through her veins, bright and terrifying. Kale noticed too. His gaze snapped to her. Your eyes. Lyra blinked. What about them? They're glowing. Her world tilted. What? But then she felt it. The heat beneath her skin, the pull of the moon like invisible hands tugging at her bones. Her body trembled. Kale. Something's happening. He moved closer, hands steady on her shoulders. Breathe. Don't fight it. I can't. Look at me. His voice was command and comfort all at once. She tried to focus on him. Her breath caught as pain lanced through her, sharp, molten, unstoppable. Bones shifting. Skin burning. The world shattering into light. And just like that, everything changed. When the pain broke, Lyra was on her knees, shaking. The forest shimmered, sounds sharper, sense clearer. Every heartbeat, every whisper of wind vibrated through her. Kale knelt before her. His hand brushed her cheek. Your wolf has awakened. Her breath trembled. I thought I wasn't born with one. He smiled faintly. The bond awakened it. You're mine now, in more ways than one. Her cheeks flushed, though heat had nothing to do with the bond this time. Don't say things like that, she muttered. Why not? He murmured. It's true. Their eyes met. The space between them burned. Her pulse raced, every sense alive, raw, aware of him. The scent of pine and steel, the way his breath brushed her skin, the quiet danger in his nearness. He tilted his head. You feel it too. Her voice faltered. I don't know what I feel. Yes, you do. In that moment she did. The bond throbbed, wild, demanding. Before either could speak again, another howl pierced the silence. Closer. Kale cursed under his breath. They're relentless. Lyra rose, steadier now. Then we fight. He looked at her, surprised. I'm not hiding, she said, lifting her chin. Not anymore. A slow grin curved his mouth. The healer's daughter has teeth. Maybe it was fate, she whispered, eyes glinting. Or maybe it was madness. Does it matter? He laughed softly. No. But it's beautiful either way. They fought side by side as the blood fangs poured into the clearing. Kale was fury incarnate, swift, precise, unstoppable. Lyra moved like instinct, her wolf guiding her strikes, her power crackling like silver fire. Together they were something else entirely. When the last of the enemies fell, silence draped the forest once more. Kale wiped his blade clean, watching her. You fought well. Lyra met his gaze. You didn't think I would? I didn't think you'd want to. Her expression softened. When they took everything from you, you didn't stop fighting. And now you won't either, he said quietly. Something unspoken passed between them. Then Kale's expression hardened. We can't stay here. They'll send more. Where do we go? He glanced toward the east, where the moon bled crimson through the clouds. To the old city. The seat of the goddess. The ruins? He nodded. If the prophecy is true, that's where it leads. Lyra hesitated. And if it's a trap? Kale's lips curved. Then we'll spring it together. That night, as they camped beside a river, Lyra couldn't sleep. The moon shimmered across the water, turning it to liquid silver. Kale sat nearby, silent, sharpening his dagger. After a while she spoke softly. Kale? He looked up. What happens if we fail? He was quiet for a moment. Then the blood fangs will rule and the moon will fall silent. Her voice wavered. And us. He met her eyes, something fierce and tender there. Then I'll die knowing I found you. Her breath caught. And as the wind carried his name through the trees, her heart ached. Not with fear, but with something far more dangerous. Oh. Chapter 4, The City of Echoes. The ruins rose from the mist like bones of the old world. Lyra stood at the edge of the valley, heart hammering as the first rays of dawn spilled across broken marble and crumbling towers. The old city, once the heart of the Moon clans, lay silent, shrouded in silver fog. Kale's voice was quiet beside her. It's been centuries since any wolf stepped here. She glanced at him. Why? Because this was where the goddess turned away from us. The air was heavy, charged with a strange hum that set her wolf on edge. Every stone seemed to whisper, every shadow seemed to remember. Lyra wrapped her cloak tighter. And you think the prophecy will lead us here? Kale's gaze swept the horizon. Not think. No. He pointed toward the half-buried temple at the city's heart. That's where the Moonfire sleeps. The Moonfire? The source of the Alpha line. It said whoever rekindles it becomes bound to the goddess's will, or defies her forever. Lyra's stomach turned. So it's not just power. It's a choice. He nodded. Every crown comes with a curse. They moved cautiously through the city, their footsteps echoing against ancient stone. Time had hollowed it out, marketplaces overtaken by roots, statues of long-dead kings cracked and blind-eyed. Lyra paused before one of them, a tall figure carved in silver stone, wearing a crown shaped like crescent moons. Who was he? She asked. Cale's expression darkened. My father. She turned sharply to him. Your father? He nodded. The first king to defy the goddess. The curse began with him. The wind sighed through the ruins, cold and low, as if the city itself mourned. Lyra's voice was soft. And you came back to end what he started. No, his gaze met hers, steady and haunted. To fix what he broke. Hours passed as they searched through the ruins, following markings only Cale could read. Sigils of the old pacts, half-erased prayers written in blood and moonlight. By dusk they reached the temple. It loomed like a cathedral of shadows, columns carved with wolves and moons, the roof open to the darkening sky. As Lyra stepped across the threshold, the ground pulsed beneath her feet, softly at first, then stronger. Cale, she whispered, do you feel that? He drew a slow breath. She feels you. Before Lyra could ask what he meant, a voice echoed through the temple, low, melodic, female. Child of light and shadow. You walk where no mortal dares. Lyra froze. The air shimmered, and from the darkness, a figure formed, tall, radiant, cloaked in moonlight. Her eyes held eternity. The goddess, Cale murmured, bowing low. Lyra could barely breathe. You're real. The goddess's gaze swept over her, unreadable. You bear my mark, girl. Yet your blood is not pure wolf. Why do you seek the Moonfire? Lyra swallowed. To save our people. The goddess tilted her head. Or to save your king? Lyra faltered. He's not. Cale spoke sharply. She is my mate. The goddess smiled faintly. So the bond is complete. The air rippled. Symbols glowed across the temple floor, encircling them both in silver fire. Lyra gasped as heat surged through her veins. What's happening? The bond demands balance, the goddess intoned. One of light, one of shadow. To wield the Moonfire, one must surrender to the other. Cale's eyes locked on hers. Lyra, don't listen. But the goddess's voice drowned his out. Only one heart can rule beneath the moon. The other must fall. The light flared, blinding. Lyra screamed as the bond between them tore open, revealing everything she had buried. Fear, love, longing, rage. And beneath it all, a whisper. He will betray you. The light snapped out. Lyra collapsed to her knees, trembling. Cale caught her, his hands firm around her shoulders. Lyra, look at me. Her eyes burned, tears streaking her face. She said, one of us has to fall. We'll prove her wrong. Can we? She whispered. He hesitated. Just long enough for her to see it, the flicker of doubt. Her heart cracked. They made camp within the temple that night, the goddess's presence gone but her words lingering like poison in the air. Lyra sat apart, staring into the dying fire. Cale's cloak lay across her shoulders, but his warmth no longer reached her. Lyra, he said finally. She didn't turn. You should sleep. I can't. He crossed to her, kneeling beside the fire. You believe her. I don't know what to believe anymore. She's testing us. The bond, the prophecy, it's all a test. And if we fail? His jaw tightened. Then I lose you. And I won't let that happen. Lyra met his eyes. You can't control destiny, Cale. I can fight it. Even if it means fighting me? Silence fell. His gaze softened and he reached out, brushing his thumb over her jaw. If the choice is between you and the crown? He leaned closer. I'll burn the crown. Her breath hitched. And though she wanted to believe him, a shadow had already taken root in her chest. Before dawn, Lyra woke to the sound of footsteps. Kale was gone. She rose quickly, heart racing, and followed his scent through the ruins, until she found him at the edge of the city, speaking in low tones to a cloaked figure. She froze. The figure lifted their hood. It was Lord Darius, Kale's old beta, the same noble who had once tried to claim her at the mating ceremony. Her pulse stopped. "You shouldn't be here," Kale was saying. Darius smirked. "You summoned me, Majesty." Lyra's stomach turned cold. "Don't look so shocked," Darius went on. "Did you think I wouldn't answer my king's call?" Kale's reply was quiet. "Keep your voice down. If she knows you're here, then she'll know you're still playing both sides." Lyra's world tilted. Kale's jaw clenched. "This isn't about her. It's about the Bloodfangs. I need information." Darius laughed softly. "You mean you need me to bring you the throne back?" Lyra stepped back, breath trembling. Every instinct screamed run, but her heart refused. The goddess's voice echoed in her mind. One heart must fall. As dawn broke over the ruined city, Lyra turned away from the sight of Kale and Darius together, a single tear cutting down her cheek. For the first time since the ceremony, the bond between them didn't feel like salvation. It felt like a noose tightening. Chapter 5, The Moonfire Pact. Mist bled through the ruins as dawn crawled across the city. Lyra hadn't slept. She watched the sky change from silver to pale blue, her hands shaking against the chill. Every image of Kale and Darius replayed in her mind. The quiet urgency, the secrecy, the half-heard words. "You're still playing both sides." The goddess's prophecy pressed against her ribs like a blade. She rose and began walking toward the temple again, heart pounding. The air smelled of ash and magic. The bond between her and Kale pulsed faintly in her chest, weaker than before, as though it too questioned the truth. When she reached the temple's threshold, Kale was already there, shirtless, breath steaming in the cold, sparring with shadows. His movements were sharp, deliberate, full of a restless fury she'd never seen before. "You were gone," she said quietly. He froze, the sword stilling midair. "I couldn't sleep. Or you didn't want to." His gaze flicked to hers, guarded. "You followed me. I had reason to." He wiped sweat from his brow. "Then you know I met Darius. So you won't deny it." "No," his voice was calm, too calm. "He has information about Terran. About the Bloodfang's next move." Lyra's heart pounded. "You think I'd believe that? After everything he's done?" "He was my beta, Lyra. He knows the council, the armies, the strategies Terran's using to twist the clans. I need him." "You need him," she repeated, her voice cracking. "You didn't even tell me?" "Because I knew you'd see it like this." "Like betrayal?" Kale flinched, eyes darkening. "It's not betrayal if it's to protect you. Don't twist this." Lyra stepped closer, the bond humming painfully between them. "You promised me honesty." He met her gaze, his voice rough. "And I promised to keep you alive. Sometimes those aren't the same thing." The silence between them thickened until the very air trembled. Lyra turned away before he could see her tears. "You sound just like them," she whispered. "Like the ones who think power makes lies acceptable." Kale's hand caught her wrist, pulling her back. "Don't." She looked up at him, eyes blazing. "Let go." "You didn't?" His grip was desperate, trembling. "Lyra, if you walk away now." "What?" she snapped. "You'll lose control? Or you'll let me fall like your goddess said?" He went still. The wind seemed to stop. "Don't," he said again, softer this time. Her voice broke. "You don't even see it, do you? She was never warning us about fate. She was warning me." Kale's jaw clenched. "What are you saying?" Lyra stepped back, her wolf rising beneath her skin. "That maybe one heart has to fall, and maybe it's mine." That night she left the temple. The city slept beneath the moonlight, silver mist curling around the ruins like ghosts. Lyra walked barefoot through the dust, her senses sharp, her mind a storm. She reached the edge of the city where the broken river ran black under the stars, and there, waiting, stood Darius. "I thought he'd keep you on a shorter leash," he said. Lyra's voice was steady. "You talk too much." He smiled, all teeth. Still sharp. "Good. You'll need that." I came for the truth. Then you'll get it, Darius said, stepping closer. Your precious alpha isn't what you think he is. The Moonfire isn't just power. It's the weapon that killed his first mate. Lyra froze. What? Oh, he didn't tell you? Darius's grin widened. He tried to use the Moonfire years ago to end the rebellion. But it consumed her instead. The goddess punished him, exile, disgrace, the loss of his pack. You were just his chance to prove he's still worthy. Lyra's pulse roared in her ears. You're lying. Am I? Darius leaned close. Ask him. Or better yet, look into the fire yourself. He turned and vanished into the mist, leaving only the echo of his words behind. Lyra stumbled back through the ruins, heart splintering. Cale was waiting for her at the temple steps as though he'd felt her coming. His expression shifted instantly, relief then fear. Lyra. Is it true? He froze. What? The Moonfire. Your mate. Did you kill her? His silence answered her. Lyra's knees gave way. She pressed her palms to the ground, shaking. You said you were exiled for refusing the council. You said. I didn't kill her, Cale said hoarsely. I tried to save her. The Moonfire chose me, not her. It burned through the bond. It wasn't supposed to, but it did. Lyra lifted her head, tears streaming. And now you want to try again with me? Lyra, listen. No, her voice hardened. You're not saving me, Cale. You're repeating your curse. The bond between them cracked, literally cracked, flaring with blue light. The temple shook, stones groaning under the surge of power. Cale reached for her. Lyra, please. She stepped back, shaking her head. If one heart must fall, it won't be mine. The energy flared again, and the bond shattered. A blinding flash, a scream that wasn't entirely human, and then, silence. Lyra collapsed. Cale fell to his knees beside her, blood at his temple, panic in his eyes. No, 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 Lyra. She was breathing but faintly. The mark on her neck, the Moonfire sigil, was flickering, fading like a dying flame. Cale's voice broke. You promised you'd fight. Her lips moved. I am. Then she went still. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. The ruins shuddered. From far beyond the valley, horns sounded, the Bloodfang army on the march. Cale lifted Lyra into his arms, fury and grief warring in his gaze. He looked toward the mountains, toward the Moonkeep citadel, and whispered, Then the war begins. Chapter 6, The Goddess's Shadow. Thunder split the night. Cale knelt in the ruins, Lyra's body cradled against his chest, her hair tangled with blood and dust. The Moonfire mark on her neck flickered, once, twice, then dimmed to a faint ember. Don't you dare, he whispered. Don't you dare leave me. His voice broke the silence like a prayer turned curse. Around him, the ancient stones trembled as his wolf pushed against his skin, desperate, wild. But even fury couldn't wake her. The bond was gone, torn in half, bleeding light that stained the earth. He pressed his forehead to hers. You weren't supposed to pay the price. Then the world tilted. A whisper, soft, cruel, unmistakably divine, slid through the air. And yet, every crown demands blood. Cale's eyes snapped open. Show yourself. Mist swirled. The moonlight sharpened. The goddess took form, a woman of starlight and storm, eyes filled with endless sorrow. Your defiance has cost her, she said, voice echoing like 1,000 bells. Cale's chest heaved. Then bring her back. I cannot. Only you can. He rose, trembling. Tell me how. The goddess's gaze darkened. You must enter the Shadow Vale, the place where wolves go when their bonds die. But beware, the same fire that can return her soul may also burn yours to ash. Cale's jaw tightened. Then I burn. Her expression softened, almost pitying. So be it, King of Ruin. That night he rode. The war horns echoed behind him, the Bloodfang army pouring through the valley, but Cale didn't look back. The rain fell hard and cold, mixing with the metallic scent of his grief. By the time he reached the Shadow Vale, the sky was a bleeding violet. The ground itself breathed like a living thing. He dismounted, dragging Lyra's limp body from the horse and laying her gently on the black soil. "If there's any mercy left," he murmured, "you'll wake and hate me later." Then he drew his dagger, and sliced open his palm. Blood hissed against the ground. "By Moonfire and Marrow," he said, his voice shaking, "I call the bond once more." The earth shuddered. Flames erupted, not golden, not red, but silver blue, licking up around Lyra's still form. They didn't burn her. They consumed the space between them, swirling into a circle of light. Cale stepped into it. Instantly the world shattered. Meanwhile, Lyra stood in the dark. No sound. No scent. No heartbeat. Only cold light and silence that pressed like stone. "Where am I?" she whispered. "Between death and destiny." The voice was everywhere. Familiar. Endless. "Goddess?" The darkness shifted, forming the outline of a woman, the same face that had haunted her dreams. "You severed what should not be broken," the goddess said. "Now the bond bleeds through realms." Lyra's throat tightened. "I had to." He lied. "Did he lie, or did you fear the truth?" Lyra's breath caught. The goddess's eyes burned brighter. "You carry his mark, yet you doubt his heart. What kind of queen fears the weight of her crown?" "I never wanted a crown. And yet it chose you." Lyra turned away. "If you mean to punish me, then do it." The goddess smiled faintly. "You misunderstand. I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to prepare you." The shadows rippled, and in them shapes emerged. Wolves. Dozens. Hundreds. All spectral, all staring with ghostly eyes. Lyra's pulse stuttered. "Who are they?" "The lost mates," the goddess said. "Those who broke their bonds and never found their way back. You stand where they linger." Lyra's knees weakened. "Then I'm dead?" "Not yet. But the one you called king is coming." Lyra looked up sharply. "Cale?" The goddess's voice softened. "He walks the veil to find you. He would burn eternity to bring you home. But if he fails..." Lyra swallowed hard. "Then what?" "Then he becomes one of them." Moments later, in the mortal realm, Cale staggered through the fire. The shadow veil rose before him like a living nightmare, mountains twisted into faces, rivers of smoke whispering his sins. He clutched Lyra's necklace in one hand, the dagger in the other. "Lyra!" His shout echoed, fading into nothing. The wind answered with her voice. "Cale?" He froze. "Lyra?" The mist parted, and there she was, pale and glowing, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Cale?" He stepped forward, but his foot hit resistance like an invisible wall. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "Neither should you." Tears glimmered on her cheeks. "You lied to me." "I did," he said quietly. "But not about us." Her breath hitched. "Then why didn't you tell me about her?" "Because I couldn't bear you seeing me as a monster." Lyra's voice trembled. "You tried to save her?" He nodded. "And I failed. I couldn't lose another." Something inside her cracked open, the last of her fear burning away. The goddess's voice rolled like thunder. "The fire demands truth." The air flared. Moonfire erupted again, wrapping around them both. Cale shouted, reaching for her. "Lyra." She stepped forward. "Then take it all." Their hands met, light exploded, and just like that the veil screamed. When the world stopped spinning, Lyra gasped awake, alive, beneath the temple archway. Cale lay beside her, motionless but breathing. The moonfire mark on her neck blazed again, brighter than ever. But this time it had changed shape. It wasn't a crescent anymore. It was a crown. Lyra touched it, her heart racing. "What did we do?" The goddess's whisper curled through the air. "You became what was always meant to be, fire and flesh, love and law." Lyra looked at Cale, tears streaking her cheeks. "Then let the world come for us." Above them, the moon turned crimson. And somewhere beyond the ruins, an army howled. Chapter 7 Scene 1 The Return Through the Ruins. The dawn light breaks across the shattered veil as Cale and Lyra step through the veil between worlds. The remnants of the moon gate lie in glittering shards behind them, and the ancient power hums in their veins, his aura tempered by mercy, hers thrumming with lunar light. The once mighty capital of the Moon Clan sprawls before them, burning. Pack banners hang torn, and the cruel Alpha Regent's forces patrol the streets. Lyra grips Kale's arm, her heart twisting at the sight of her people's suffering. Kale's voice is steady, solemn. "The crown was never forged of gold," he says, staring at the city. "It was forged of those who still believe." They cloak themselves in the mist and move silently through the ruins. The beggars, those same forgotten souls Lyra once healed in the alleys, recognize him first. Their eyes widen, whispers spread like wildfire. The beggar has returned. Lyra kneels among them, sharing her healing glow, while Kale calls the surviving clans to assemble in the catacombs beneath the moon shrine. There, amid the scent of earth and blood, the rebellion begins to breathe again. Scene 2: The Gathering of the Clans. Hundreds gather in the moon shrine's ruins, warriors, elders, mothers with infants, the broken remnants of the clans. When Kale steps forward, every knee bends instinctively. The Alpha King lives. Lyra stands beside him, her presence radiant and defiant. She speaks, her voice trembling but clear. "He hid among you not to test your obedience but your hearts. And now the moon calls us not to kneel, but to rise." Her words ignite them. Kale's second in command, Fenric, who had believed Kale dead, kneels before him. "Command us, my king," he says, tears streaking his scarred face. Kale lays a hand on Fenric's shoulder. "Not as your king," he replies, "but as your brother. Tonight we take back what darkness stole." Scene 3: The Moonfire reclaimed. Under the full moon, the clans march toward the royal citadel. The moonfire burns in the sky, a living halo of silver flame. The regent stands on the battlements, cloaked in black magic drawn from the stolen Heartstone. A thunderous battle erupts. Wolves clash, magic shatters the air and the city trembles. Lyra is everywhere, a beacon in the chaos, using her power to heal, to blind the enemy, to protect Kale from the regent's dark strikes. When Kale faces the regent atop the citadel, the truth bursts forth. The regent is his uncle, the one who banished him. Their duel is brutal and poetic, power versus mercy, tyranny versus love. The regent sneers, "Mercy makes you weak." Kale, bleeding and radiant, answers, "No. It makes me alpha." With Lyra's magic woven into his, they shatter the Heartstone, unleashing a wave of pure lunar energy that sweeps through the city, burning away corruption, cleansing the land. Scene 4: The Coronation beneath the moon. Days later, the city heals. The ruins bloom with wildflowers, the moon shrine glows once more. Kale kneels before the newly restored altar, not as a king reclaiming his crown, but as a man accepting his fate. Lyra places her hands on his shoulders, and the goddess's voice echoes in the wind. Two souls kissed by fate. Two hearts that broke the law to mend the world. Rise, my chosen, Alpha and Luna of the dawn. Silver light pours from the heavens, crowning them both, not in metal but in moonfire. The crowd bows, chanting their names. Lyra looks at Kale, tears shimmering in her eyes. "I never wanted a crown," she whispers. He smiles, voice rough with emotion. "Then rule by my side. Not for power but for peace." Their kiss seals not a curse but a promise. The moonfire flares, and for the first time in centuries the night feels warm. Scene 5: Epilogue beat. Later that night, beneath the glowing citadel, Lyra walks through the city she once feared to enter. The beggars, the orphans, the healers, all bow as she passes, whispering moon-blessed. Kale joins her, holding her hand. In the distance the stars shift, the old constellations realigning. "It's over," she says softly. "No," he answers. "It's only beginning." The camera of imagination lifts. The moon shines over a reborn world. The prophecy fulfilled. The beggar's crown was never meant for one head, but two hearts. Chapter 8, Scene 1: The morning after the war. The first rays of sunlight spill over the silver peaks, and Eldermoor, once a place of fear, awakens to peace. Children play where soldiers once marched. The air carries the scent of healing herbs and new hope. Lyra stands at the balcony of the Moonkeep, looking out over the valley. She wears no crown, only a simple silver thread braided into her hair, a healer's mark. Below her, Kale walks among his people, no longer armored but clothed in plain linen, smiling faintly as he helps rebuild the market square. Lyra's mother, now restored to health by Lyra's gift, joins her on the balcony. "You healed a kingdom," her mother says softly. Lyra shakes her head, eyes glistening. "No, we healed each other. The world has shifted. The moon's curse, the bond that once seemed a chain, has become the kingdom's greatest blessing." Scene 2, the coronation of unity. Days later, the clans gather once more at the moon's shrine. This time not for war, but for renewal. Kale stands before the sacred pool, Lyra beside him, their reflections shimmering together. Each clan leader steps forward, pledging fealty not just to the king, but to both the Alpha and the Luna. A new era where rule is shared between heart and fang, crown and compassion. Kale takes Lyra's hand before the assembly. "When I was lost," he says, voice echoing through the marble hall, "the goddess sent me a beggar's kiss, and from it, a kingdom reborn." Lyra blushes softly, tears catching the moonlight. The crowd chants their names not as rulers above them, but as symbols of balance restored. In the ceremony's final act, they release 2 silver wolves, one white, one black, into the forest, their forms entwining under the full moon. Scene 3, the moonlit garden, emotional closure. Night falls. Lyra and Kale walk through the royal garden, now red-bloomed with silver blossoms that only open under moonlight. They stop beside the old fountain where the first Alpha Kings once prayed. "When you kissed me," Kale murmurs, "I thought it was the cruelest trick of fate." "And now?" Lyra asks, smiling. "Now I know it was mercy, wearing mortal lips." They sit together, hand in hand, watching the stars. Lyra leans her head against his shoulder, whispering, "Do you think the goddess planned this?" Kale's voice is low, warm. "Perhaps. But I like to think we chose it, every step, every scar, every kiss." The moonfire within them glows faintly, no longer wild but harmonious, the perfect balance between king and healer, beast and heart. Scene 4, a world renewed, falling action. In the days that follow, the kingdom transforms. Lyra rebuilds the healers' halls in Eldermoor, turning them into sanctuaries for all clans. Kale reforms the council, no longer nobles by blood but chosen by service. The beggars who once bowed in shadows now serve as the kingdom's messengers, bearers of truth instead of rumor. And at every full moon, the city bells ring not for war, but for remembrance. The legend of the beggar's kiss becomes a story mothers tell their children, not of shame or chance but of how love, once dismissed as folly, saved an entire realm. Scene 5, the final blessing, closing image/epilogue. Years later, a young girl, the daughter of Lyra and Kale, runs through the same garden, chasing butterflies of light. Her laughter echoes through the moon keep. Lyra watches her with quiet wonder, Kale's arm wrapped protectively around her shoulders. "She has your eyes," he says. "And your stubborn heart," Lyra teases. As the moon rises full above them, its light swells and then descends in a gentle halo, the goddess's last benediction. A soft voice whispers on the wind, "The beggar's crown shall never fade, for love, once true, is eternal." They look up, their faces bathed in silver light. The same kiss that began in fear now seals a legacy of peace. The camera of imagination pulls back, showing the moon kingdom reborn, gleaming like starlight on water.